This is a interview with my good friend here, Samson West. I am
Hey,
joined
folks.
by ET13 Productions, who will be uploading this,
Hey guys.
and Raiju Kaiju Productions, but he won't be talking. If he will, he'll be texting us the questions or what he would like to ask Samson, and I will say it for him. But anyways, let's move right down on to the questions. Samson, what is your favorite scene out of Godzilla versus Gigan?
All right, so scenes out of Godzilla vs. Gigan. I just got done watching that movie for a second time, or a second time. No, I got done watching that for the millionth time tonight. There's actually one specific scene that I like a lot because of the cinematography and the way they did it. It's during the end of Ghidorah and Gigan's attack scene on Tokyo. Gigan, like, you see him just like do his little screechy roar, his little side beaks open up. You see his profile, he screeches, and then he turns around and walks away. And then the camera slowly pans out, and you see just the burning city. Just like they slowly, just like, I just thought that was a beautiful shot, the way they did that, where it
Oh,
shows Gigan like roaring over his own destruction and turning away proudly. And it just showed so much. It was so epic to me when I saw that. I got chills. It was they did a really good job with that, I thought.
I know what shot you're talking about, and I agree. That is a very good shot.
Because I mean, there's many shots in the movie that are epic, but that just showed the Gigan. He was like, "All right, I did my job. I don't need to destroy anymore. I'm just gonna walk away epically." And they just the special effects about that, they were really well done.
If there was one thing you could change about the movie, what would it be and why?
Well, this is a complaint that most people have about the movie in particular. It's the fact that they used quite a bit of stock footage from older movies to put filler into this one because the budget
Yeah.
wasn't as large for this movie. Um, so they used a lot of stock footage from older movies, such as Ghidorah, the Three-Headed Monster, so they could use more Ghidorah footage, and Godzilla versus Monster Zero, aka Invasion of the Astro Monster. So they used a lot of older Ghidorah footage from the last two films. Oh, they also and Destroy All Monsters. There's a few pieces, very only small scenes, but they used a lot of scenes from the older movies that involved Ghidorah in this movie for fillers because they didn't want to. I don't know. I guess they just did not. They didn't have the budget to film as much Ghidorah scenes in this movie. So I guess that is the one complaint that I have about Godzilla versus Gigan is the stock footage usage in this film.
Any other things you would change?
Aside from that, I mean, I really love the movie just in general. There's not much aside from that I would change because I guess this might be a question that you asked me later on. The Godzilla suit is about worn out in this film, but I still love the design of the suit and stuff, even to this date. So that's pretty much the one complaint that I guess I could say about the film is just the use of stock footage. That's about it. That's the
Well,
only
I mean,
complaints I have.
in the last interview, you already talked about the suit quite in depth. So, unless you, well, go ahead if you have anything else to add about the suit that you didn't say last time.
There's not really much. I mean, that suit has been used over the course of let's see, yeah, from '68 to '72. That's a 4-year span of that suit being used over and over and over again, and them modifying it and to make it last. And I mean, I don't know what all they had to do in the studios, like using like uh, because it's made out of rubber. It's silicone rubber, so they have to like keep that thing moist so it doesn't dry out. I don't know what they had to do to keep that thing alive for 4 years because that is one of the longest, or quote unquote, actually, it is the longest lasting Showa suit in history because they didn't use any other suit for that many years in a row in the Showa movies. Yes, we have the 1973, 74, and 75 suit. That's 3 years in a row. But the original Destroy All Monster suit, they used that for 4 years. So that's a long time to have a suit lasting.
Wasn't that also the most used one period for a certain amount of time? Like
if I believe,
even over Heisei and Millennium?
I know I'm trying to think through the Heisei films. I think yes, you are correct because in the Heisei films, the 89 and 91 suit, those were practically the same but with minor modifications. 92 suit was a new suit on its own. 93 and 94, or no, excuse me, I'm sorry. The 92 and 93 were the same suit. They were modified. 94 was a brand new suit, and they turned it into the 95 Burning Godzilla. So no, yes, you're correct. The 1968 through 1972 suit is the only suit in Godzilla history that has been used as long as it did.
And Millennium, there's not even a contest because literally all of those movies except for
well, Godzilla 2000 and Godzilla versus Megagears, they use the same suit. And then, well, Godzilla.
Well, I was about to talk about like the storyline, like the story, but yeah, that too.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, like everything except for Tokyo SOS and against Mechagodzilla was either a prequel or a remake.
Exactly. The Millennium series, it was all new stuff. Like Godzilla 2000, even though they recognized in that movie that Godzilla has been existing for a long time, every single one of the Millennium movies, they pretty much, it was like a direct sequel from the original one. There was no such thing as the Heisei series. They ignored the entirety of the Showa movies that existed before that. Millennium, pretty much every single movie in that series was a direct sequel to the 1954 Godzilla movie. Well, I mean, like you said, with the exception of like the movies that were combined together, like Tokyo SOS and or excuse me, Godzilla against Mechagodzilla and Tokyo SOS, which are sequels to each other. And then yeah, so right on.
This is a little bit off topic. A little bit. It kind of has to retain to this. It's still about Godzilla. What did you rate 54 again on like your list?
Oh, as just like a movie that I love?
Yeah. No, out of the other Godzilla movies.
Oh, the 1954 Godzilla. Well, I mean, I have to give it a high rating because, of course, it's the first movie, and without it, we wouldn't have the other movies we have to date. But I'm a big fan of like the corny Godzilla movies. So, with that being a much more serious movie, it's not like the highest on my list. It's not a movie that I love to like pop in and play in my DVD player over and over again. But I will definitely give that movie a good 8.5 out of 10 as far as like movies that I love out of the Godzilla series goes, because I mean that's the movie that made Godzilla what it is today, and it has such a strong and powerful story and a metaphorical background to it. You know, the destruction of Japan and Godzilla basically being a metaphor for the atomic testing or quote unquote the atomic bombs that we dropped on Japan. He's basically the atomic bombs embodied as a creature that took wrath on Japan. So I love the original movie. And there's two different versions of the movie. You got to think about it. There's the original 1954 movie, and then there's the 1956 movie with Raymond Burr. Those movies are actually very, very different. The Raymond Burr version for America, it's a little, they kind of took away a lot of the emotional tragedy like that they tried to express in the original Japanese version. But if you go back and watch the Japanese version, it's a heavy movie. It really is, and it really gets to you.
for the Japanese version, I see it more of a commentary on the Cold War and droppings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki for Japan, and then for the one that has Raymond Burr, King of the Monsters. I see that one more as like a basically everybody.
Yes, the Japanese one is more influenced by the two bombs that were dropped on Japan, and then the Raymond Burr version, it's just about war in general, and
Yeah.
just they try to appeal to a general audience. Like it's almost as if the American version they're trying to do what they're trying to do what like Germany does for a lot of older pictures, where it's Germany with older movies. They try not to make it seem like Germany is the bad guy because back then we were technically the bad guy because we dropped two big bombs on Japan. So the 1956 version with Raymond Burr, it tried not to seem like we were the bad guy. They tried to make it just seem like it's a general audience movie. It's a scary giant monster movie. It's
Well,
not
not
about
even
the
that
destruction of
necessarily.
Japan, that we inflicted on them.
Well, not even that necessarily, because the plot of Dr. Serizawa is supposed to replicate the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings, with the oxygen destroyer basically being like a metaphor for, well, Dr. Serizawa as the character being a metaphor for I can't remember his name, but the guy who made the atomic
The
bomb.
original atomic bomb.
Yeah.
Oh God, I know. I wish I'd pay more attention to history now, because then I could yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Dr. Serizawa is exactly that. He is pretty much an analogy for blah blah blah, which I'm too stupid to think of it. Who did
Yeah, me
create
neither.
who was the man that created the atomic bomb? Who was actually the scientist? I'm sorry. Who said
Oppenheimer was his name?
Yeah, that's his name.
Oh my gosh! Thank you so much. So, yeah, you're right. That's actually a really good analogy.
And what Serizawa was supposed to be, in my eyes, was them Toho trying to say, here's a way how you could see it through the Americans' eyes. That, to me, that's what it seemed like to me.
Yes, and they showed that he was regretful. He was regretful for his invention. He made it, and he realized the destructive power of that invention. So, of course, at the end of the movie, that's why he sacrificed himself so that nobody else could ever get a hold of such power and replicate that and use it for good or bad in the future.
You know what I see in Dr. Serizawa's story? One of one of the great tragedies in his story. At least he got the decision to be able and either kill himself and keep his secrets, or release it to the world. Because
there was a couple
because
tragedies.
Oppenheimer didn't really get the chance to do it.
Right. That's
because
true.
by the time he figured out what he was working on and what, like, the devastation, it was too late. Everybody else had like his notes.
It's basically the Frankenstein theory. It's like the doctor creates something extraordinary, and then it turns out to not be like it turns out to not be good for mankind like they originally thought, and it
Yeah.
goes awry. So that's kind of that's what they call the Frankenstein theory. It's the inventor thinks of something extraordinary that nobody has ever thought of before, and they do it, but then it turns out to not be the best for mankind, and they have no control over it because it's already been released to the world.
Yeah. I know I went on a little bit of a tangent to like 1954, but basically what I was going to ask is,
That's fine.
um, what do you like so much about Godzilla versus Gigan versus that movie? Considering everybody else, including myself, likes 54 usually a lot more than any of the other show or other Godzilla films. Period.
That's funny that
And
you say that because I could kind of. I'm not going to argue with you, of course, but I will say that I disagree with that because I've been around long enough. I'm 27 years old. I'm not as old as a lot of other Godzilla fans, but I've been around for 27 years. I've been collecting since I was 4, so I've been a fan for 23 years. And with social media being as big as it is in this day and age, of course, you can talk to anybody and everybody nowadays, and opinions and things like that are thrown around like crazy. But I would say, yes, people, of course, they have a lot of respect for the original 1954 movie because that's what started it all. If it weren't for that, we wouldn't have all these brilliant, beautiful movies that we have to date that we can all love and cherish and just ogle over.
well, it's not even that necessarily. It's just I would also say it's because it's like the most different out of all the other movies, with its basically completely serious tone. With all the
It
other,
does. It does have like a very, very, very serious. The only other movie that I could compare to it having a super serious tone, like that movie, would be the. There's actually 2 movies. The 1984 movie Godzilla Returns,
I
as
haven't
some people
seen
like.
that one yet.
The Americanized title for it is Godzilla Returns, which also they did the same thing. They filmed some American scenes with Raymond Burr in it because it's so it has Raymond Burr in
Yeah,
it again as quote unquote Steve Martin. But at that time, the actor Steve Martin was really popular, so they cut that out of the movie and they just called him Mr. Martin because
yeah.
Steve Martin was famous for Saturday Night Live and a lot of other things. Um, but there's that movie. That's a very serious Godzilla movie, and then GMK, Godzilla
Yeah.
Mothra King Ghidorah. That's another very serious Godzilla movie with very mythical tones. It's much more mythical and shit like that or stuff like that. Excuse me.
Well,
But
that's the thing with me. I much prefer sci-fi over fantasy, but that's just me.
right. That's why people love Showa. Showa is probably the best series out of all of them because
Yes.
it's very sci-fi and corny and fun. And then later on, the movies got a little bit too serious. So that's
I
kind of
wouldn't say
my.
they got too serious. I would just say they turned into their own thing.
The Heisei movies got pretty surreal, in my opinion. That's why I liked
Yeah.
them okay. But I can definitely say I can't remember the last time I popped in a Heisei movie to watch it because I wanted to. The Showa movies are
I
pretty
bet I
much the
can
one.
I bet
are
I can
like
tell which one it is though that you popped in last. Godzilla versus Destroya.
that probably would be the last one that I did pop in. Because yes, of course, that is one of the most beautiful movies out of the Heisei series that exists. It relates so much to just like it's a great finale to the Heisei series, and
Yep.
the fact that it deals so well with the original Godzilla movie. Like it's almost like those two connect so well together. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, of course, it has the actress from the very first movie. Oh my god, I can't remember who her name is, but
Momoko Kochi, I believe is how you pronounce it.
but she was in. I'm sorry, what was her actual? Oh, I feel so ashamed for not actually knowing her character's name from the first movie. Um, she was the love interest of Akira Takarada's character.
Oh, is it Emiko?
Emiko.
Himiko, yeah.
the fact that she was in Godzilla versus Destroyer, that was really cool, and the fact that she had anything to do with it, period. So
That's like the only character that's ever like I've been interested in and has like gone more than one movie.
well, Akira Takarada, he's been in several movies as well. I mean, he actually, I can't remember which movies he was in the Heisei series. I think he popped in for one, but of course, in Godzilla Final Wars, remember he's one of the main characters in that. I can't
No, I
remember.
meant like
I've only seen that movie like a few times, but he's the one that's like, "Oh, come here, puppy," whatever, blah blah blah. Like when they were trying to like interview him or whatever, and they goes like, "That dog is not yours; it's mine. You have no idea who this dog is." So they
um
used his.
uh um uh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, that's all I had to say. Go ahead.
No, I lost my train of thought. You go ahead.
Well, you're the interviewer, so I mean, I'm waiting to hear questions.
Okay, so well, I'll ask a different question from what I was gonna ask.
All right.
Um, if you could change one thing about the set or design or anything like that about the movie, not like plot or anything like that, would there be anything you would change with that? I know I kind of already
From
asked this
Godzilla
question.
versus Gigan.
Yeah.
Hmm. I mean, that's
Besides
funny.
like stock footage.
Right. No, like the actual like the setting and the movie
Yeah.
itself. The like what they recorded brand new for the movie.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny you asked that question because that's something I kind of wanted to brag about the setting of the film. Instead of, I mean, I actually don't have any hate for what the setting of the film. I actually wanted to kind of say something positive about it. So no, there's actually nothing that I would like for them to change about the setting of the film. I thought that they did a good job. The fact that they filmed it in present day 1972, I'm assuming, because they never said like this film takes place in blah 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 like they did with Destroy All Monsters, making it take place in 1999. I believe that Godzilla vs. Gigan took place in 1972 because all the characters had the retro clothes and all that stuff. So there's nothing about the setting that I actually no. There's nothing about the setting that I want to change.
Well, that's why. Well, I mean, not why, but I was also going to ask afterwards what you would commend them for, like the opposite.
Okay, cool. Well, then I'm ready for that question. I thought it was very cool that they did something they've never done before. The fact that they like the final fight scene. Well, of course, you know, the majority of the stuff takes place in Tokyo, just like always. You got the big city and then all this stuff. But the fact that this movie takes place at a theme park, that's very interesting. That's not something you've ever seen before. That's a very interesting setting for a monster fight to happen in. I mean, think about if they Americanized that. Like if you took
Disneyland.
Godzilla versus yes, exactly Godzilla versus whoever, and they fought in Disneyland. Wouldn't that be really cool? Like if
Yeah.
Godzilla grabbed a roller coaster train set and used it to like as nunchucks and slapped another monster in the face with it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I thought was really cool about Godzilla versus Gigan. It's something that no other movie has done or will ever do. I guess is the fact that we have this final fight scene at a theme park. That's really cool to me. It's different and I love it.
Well, they kind of missed their opportunity in 2014 whenever the Mutos went through Las Vegas. Like it would have been cool if like they did something
Oh
there.
yes. I mean if they'd have fought in the Las Vegas strip, just I mean all the beautiful the lights, the gambling, just like all the
And
amazing
plus they did it in the
buildings.
day.
It's just like
Remember?
that I'm not sure how many of you got how old many of you are at that. But remember that amazing game for the PlayStation 2, War of the Monsters? Does anybody remember
yeah,
that
I know
game
what
or
you're
have
talking
that
about.
still?
I know
There's
what
a
you're talking about.
level. There's a level in the game where you fight. I believe it's actually the second level of the game. You fight something. It's oh man, I can't remember what the name of the monster is. But I loved it. He was pretty much a ripoff of Godzilla, and you fought on the Las Vegas Strip, and you fought like with all those amazing buildings. Like they had all this like crazy cool stuff on them. The lights, the buildings were. You had different like I mean, it was just really cool. It was all lit up and very extravagant. All the buildings had cool like fountains and stuff, and there was like a giant sword in the main lobby of one building or something. So you had many different options for like using weapons throughout the Las Vegas Strip to fight the other monsters. So yes, you're right. I mean, if they'd have done that with Godzilla 2014,
Yeah,
with Godzilla versus the female Muto when she first crashed through the Las Vegas Strip. That would have been really awesome.
yeah. Kind of missed out on an opportunity there, but
Hey, it's
yeah,
all right.
yeah.
We got what we got, and we
It was Godzilla's return, and I don't think people would have like welcomed that. Like the general audience would have welcomed Godzilla getting the miniature Eiffel Tower and like hitting a Muto with it.
right or using that as like his final move to like skewer through their
Yeah.
head or something like. Yeah.
Um. I only thought of this like a few minutes ago, but and I was like, oh yeah, that would be something that I would kind of be interesting for him to know, or like to ask him. But you know the aliens in this movie?
Godzilla versus Gigan. We're going back
Yeah,
to right.
yeah.
Yes. The well, I guess you. I don't know if they are technically the Nebula M Space Hunter aliens. I don't know if
No, I don't think they
they
are.
it's they were because it's funny they request the help from Nebula M. I mean that's something that I've always kind of found kind of interesting with this movie is the fact that I don't believe they are actually the Nebula M Space Hunter aliens themselves. But anyway, so your question
So
is about them in general.
so do you like those aliens, the cockroach aliens, more, or do you like? I just got why you laughed. Anyways, um, do you like those aliens or the monkey aliens or the well no, yeah, just those three. Or no, those two.
Out of the 70s aliens from the series because
Or
I
yeah,
guess
I guess the ones from Final not Final Wars. Destroy All Monsters, the Keylocks. Out of all
well
the aliens,
we technically
you like
have
the
several
most?
different ones. We have the we have the aliens from Monster Zero, you know, the Planet X aliens,
Oh yeah, that
which
one I
are
forgot.
very very plain. They're just Japanese dudes in some weird spandex with a little antenna on their head and then a little visor. So we got the Monster Zero aliens. We have the Keylocks from from Destroy All Monsters. Let's see. Yeah, Godzilla versus Gigan. We now have. We don't really know what to actually call them. I mean, we can't say that they're the Nebula M Space Hunter aliens because
Yeah,
I don't believe they are. I think
I
they
don't think they are either.
I think they asked for the help from Nebula M Space Hunter. Um, and in 1973, they're not technically aliens, but the Cetopians from Godzilla versus Megalon. They're
Yeah,
kind of
I was
similar.
say that one, but it didn't really.
They're a little similar. I mean, they're
Yeah.
still a different race of whatever.
As a
And
matter
of
of fact,
course,
they get help from the
they do.
cockroach dudes. Yeah.
They say um, contact Nebula M Space Hunter and ask for Gigan's help. I mean, the leader asked for that with his crazy bedazzled silver robe or whatever. And then, yes, 1974/75, we have the ape aliens
Yeah.
from the third planet from the black hole.
And then you kind of have the ones from Mechagodzilla, Terror of Mechagodzilla, that kind of like acted differently.
Oh, that's why I said 74/75. I said
Yeah.
they're both. I mean, if you watch the movies and listen closely, they are both the same thing. They're
Oh, I know
both
they're the same thing, but
they're
it's
both
just
the
that,
planet from the black hole aliens.
yeah, but the ones from 74 and 74,
They
they
were
don't
definitely ape aliens.
yeah, but the
they were
ones from like 75 you can shoot. Like the guy at the end, he turns into spacecraft at the end.
He doesn't turn into a spacecraft. What we're supposed to understand is the fact that, like, as the soldiers are shooting at him, he jumps off the cliff, and he jumps into his spacecraft. Is what we're supposed to actually understand.
That was a very odd edit in that movie.
I know it really was, and then we see, like, I don't know if you've seen the original Japanese version of Terror Mechagodzilla. There's a scene where, like, the main character, the one that's in love with oh my god, I'm so shameful to the fandom. Katsura,
Yeah.
where
Katsura!
he's like he's choking out the second in command of the main bad guys, the one that has that ridiculous goatee beard, and
Yeah.
and he chokes him out. And while the guy's being choked out, he like rips off his quote unquote human face, and you see his alien face, and it's not an ape alien look at all. They cut
It's
that out of
not
the.
it's
They
not
cut
an ape alien look, or it is an ape
no,
alien look.
it's not. It's not an ape alien look at all. It's very. I mean, he still has like a greenish, weird texture to the way his skin looks, but it is not ape alien looking like
I
the
have not seen that at
1974.
all. I have not seen that at
Oh,
all.
well, I grew up with the. I mean, I have them on DVD. I have the classic media collection of Godzilla movies, and
Mm.
that includes Godzilla Raids Again, Mothra, Ghidra, Monster Zero, um, Godzilla's Revenge, and then finally Godzilla, or Terror of Mechagodzilla. It's a 5-movie collection, and it's actually really, really rare nowadays. But because I grew up in an age where I was around when it came out, I was able to get it as it came out, like at Walmart for $20 when it came out. So now it's a very rare DVD collection, but it has each of those DVDs has the Japanese / American version of each of the films, which is actually better than like trying to find the Blu-ray copies of them.
Well, back to the question.
Yes, I can't wait for any question.
Do you like any of those other space aliens more? And if you do, would you if you could like go back in time and replace those aliens in Godzilla versus Gigan, would you replace them with that other alien that you like more, if you do like one more?
I'm going to say no, just because of the fact that each movie needs to stand out on its own. I think okay. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla was my very first movie, the 1974 film. That was the movie that got me into the hobby. So I recognize the space apes as aliens. I do recognize those as really cool Toho aliens, but no, I would not replace any other film's aliens because I like them more. I think that each film needs to stand out on its own with being different. But that's why Godzilla versus Gigan's cool. They have their own aliens. It has a different theme. There's no reason to want to make movies similar just because you like one thing more than another. just because the aliens from Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla were cooler, the ape aliens, I'm not going to
So
replace Godzilla versus Gigan's more.
Are you saying that you do like the aliens from Mechagodzilla more?
I do, because yes, of course, Godzilla versus Gigan, it's very corny, but that's the reason that I love that movie. It's corny just by having them being life-size cockroaches. And so,
If you were going to have the two aliens switch movies, would you do it? Switch movies, like the roach aliens are now in Mechagodzilla, and
no. I think that they're fine where they are, because it's hard to imagine some giant cockroaches being the controllers of a giant mechanized Godzilla. That seems very weird. And then you have these weird ape dudes controlling a giant chicken robot with a buzzsaw on his chest. No, I think that what we have is good. Everything needs to stay the same. Let's not switch things around. It's all good how it is.
If Toho was going to start doing remakes of all the Showa era movies, how would you feel about that? And more specifically, how would you feel about if they did it with Godzilla versus Gigan?
Well, I guess it depends, because we've kind of seen them. We've seen them reboot pretty much every single monster in Final Wars. We saw them reboot. Let's see, how many kaiju did we get in that movie? We saw them reboot Manda. We saw them reboot Kamacuras, Kumonga, Rodan, Anguirus. We got Ebira, the lobster. We got Hedra. Gigan, of course, which he got killed twice in that movie, once normal and once with his chainsaw hands. Mothra was in that, and we definitely got a reboot of Ghidorah in a way. Kaiser Ghidorah. It was a four-legged Ghidorah. It was pretty much a redesign of Death Ghidorah from the Mothra trilogy. For them to redo it again, it's kind of hard to think about. I mean, as much as I love the monster itself, Gigan, he's just it's a clever design. It's a clever monster.
I agree.
He's a giant robotic. Technically, I mean, the fan theory is the fact that he was a monster that existed on a world long ago or something or another, and he was kind of a bird reptilian-like creature, but something happened, and then he was destroyed. But aliens came across his carcass, and they decided to rebuild him, and they made him a cyborg, which is why he has the metal hook arms, the metal hook feet, the chainsaw on the chest, the mechanized kind of beak and stuff. They say that was not actually what that monster looked like. And the visor eye, the eyeball, the visor eye was not actually what Gigan originally had. That visor eye is more like a sensor, like the Terminator. It's more of it's not an eyeball, it's a way of like sensing things. So Gigan is actually more of a mechanized creature than anything. But to recreate that thing, for Toho to recreate that, because I'm pretty sure we've heard that after Kong versus Godzilla in 2020, Japan is going to create their own monsterverse, and they're going to like kind of start from the beginning and start making Japanese monster movies again.
Yeah,
it's interesting to think. I mean, how could they modernize the old Toho classic monsters that we know? They kind of did that in Final Wars, or they did do that in Final Wars with Gigan. They already made him. They already did like kind of remake him. So
I could see how they could do it with some monsters, like King Ghidorah. They've already done that with the Legendary movies. Yeah, I could see how they could modernize him. Mechagodzilla, I could see how they could modernize him. the 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 ones that I see like being the hardest to modernize that they haven't done already is Gigan, and if they were wanting to do these, Gigan, um, I guess Gabra, but they probably don't want to do him.
The Gabra, technically, he doesn't actually exist. So that's the thing. The Gabra is probably never going to be remade ever again because he was a child's dream. So I don't think Gabra is ever going to come back. It sucks because, in a way, he's a cool monster. He's a giant. He's a big ogre. Like you could kind of conceivably remake something like that in a scarier form.
Yeah. Well,
But
by
no,
that point,
he's a child's dream.
well, by that point, would you even like really need to call him Gabra because he would be so different?
I mean,
Do you get what I mean?
it's up to Toho, man. They can do whatever they want. They always have, and they always will.
Um. The other one I saw them having like a big like issue trying to like remake would be Megalon. If they
Oh my god! I was just about to say, if there's any monster that I would, I don't know. Wait, I don't know if that's a question you're going to want to ask me though. Second, if there's a
no,
monster that,
if you wanted to see them remake it,
yeah,
sure, go ahead, shoot.
Megalon would definitely be one of those that I would love to see come back because technically he still does exist. Remember, at the end of the movie, he didn't die. He drilled his way back to quote unquote Seatopia. Um, so he's still around. He's not a monster that was destroyed or killed off by Godzilla. To see a Megalon come back, and plus the fact it's such an ingenious and unique monster, just like Gigan. That's another reason I love everything about the 70s movies. They created a lot of unique, like one of a kind monsters. I mean, Gigan, what is that? I mean, you look at that monster, if you showed that to like modern people in society, they'd be like, what is that?
He
It's like
has a
that's
buzz saw on his chest. Get over it. He's
it's
cool.
a chicken hooked three-winged buzzsaw monster. And like with Megalon, it's the same thing. It's like, what am I looking at? We got like a giant June bug with skyscraper sized drill hands and he can spit atomic loogies. It's a unique monster. King Caesar is cool, of course. I love King Caesar. He's one of my favorite of all. He's not as inventive. I mean, he's just a giant dog. And Titanosaurus, he is pretty cool. It's just a giant T-Rex, like whatever, with more aquatic features. But still, the 70s, they spat out some pretty awesome, unique monsters. That's why I love all the 70s movies.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. What about my boy Skeleturtle though?
Who's that?
No, never mind. Never mind. Um. Going on ahead with the questions.
Yes.
Um. What? I know this is gonna be a big one, but
Okay.
is there anything else you would like to commend the movie for besides Hiroka?
Hiro
I
Nakajima.
yeah, Hiro no. I can't say his name. Him
Haruro.
Haruko's
No.
Nakajima's
Haruro.
Haruro
Haruro. Yes.
Haruro
Haruro
Nakajima's
Nakajima. Yes.
work on the Godzilla suit. Besides that, and its campiness, what else would you commend about them? Oh, and the set from earlier. Well, what else would you commend?
All right. So, um, you're trying to ask me. Yes, like you said, it's a little bit of a difficult question because the main points of that movie that I love is the fact that Haruo Nakajima, it's his last movie, and like you also said, I said I love the setting of the film and the kind of corniness of the 1970s vibe and everything. But what I will say, the things that I love about the film, aside from that, is the fact that it does reintroduce monsters that we already love. It has Anguirus as Godzilla's tag team partner, and for Gigan's tag team partner, it's Ghidorah, which is Godzilla's uh, most well-known enemy in history. And the fact that we have a 2-on-2 tag team battle, we have Godzilla and Anguirus, Gigan and Ghidorah. It's a great way to have a film go. Instead of just one-on-one monsters, it's 2-on-2, which is awesome. And even though it's kind of funny to say, everybody has always considered Anguirus Godzilla's number one best friend. Even though the fact of the matter is, they've only been in 2 films together where they fought together, destroy all
But
monsters, and then Godzilla versus Gigan. Because in the first movie, Godzilla Raised Again, they were enemies. They were not friends whatsoever.
Well, technically, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, it depends on like what you mean by fighting together, like fighting on the same side or fighting like next to one another.
You're correct in the sense that you say that, because Anguirus does pop up in Godzilla, Mechagodzilla, but he's not Godzilla's tag team partner. They're not fighting together.
No.
Yeah, I mean, technically, Anguirus is a good guy in Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, but he's not a tag team partner. That's the sense that's the point that I was getting across. It's the fact that there's only been 2 movies where they've actually been tag team partners.
Yeah,
but that's really one of the only essential things that I love. Oh, I forgot. Okay, it was directed by Jun Fukuda, who has directed many of my favorite Godzilla films in the past. Yes, we all love Ishiro Honda. He was the one that got it all started. He's the one that's been doing it from the beginning. But Jun Fukuda has been the one that directed many, many of my favorite Godzilla films. He directed Godzilla versus the Sea Monster. That was his debut. That was his debut Godzilla film. That was the first one that was not directed by Ishiro Honda. He did Godzilla versus this. So it was Sea Monster. He did Son of Godzilla. Then he did, Godzilla versus Gigan, Megalon, Mechagodzilla, and that was it for him. After that, all those others were Ishiro Honda. So Jun Fukuda, he directed the last film that Haruo Nakajima ever appeared in, and I thought that was kind of cool in a way. So
yeah. Well, I guess I'll hand it over to ET because I just saw that he has a question he would like to ask you.
All right, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, while during this, I came up with a couple of questions. My first one is, what's your thoughts on this movie really being the first one to show Godzilla actually bleeding?
Yes, so this is the first time where we actually saw Godzilla draw blood from any other monster. I remember when I was a kid. Well, actually, I can't say that this was the first time I saw Godzilla draw blood, because my first movie that I ever got started on was Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, and remember, there's some pretty intense scenes in that where Mechagodzilla is doing the flying scene and firing his finger rockets, and Godzilla is bleeding all over the place with all these metal rockets in his chest and stuff. But
he gets banged up way more in this movie.
Yes, in this movie, we see the scene where Godzilla, or where Gigan first does his flyby and slices Godzilla's shoulder.
Yeah.
and it spews blood. That was pretty astonishing, and it was a little bit shocking to see something like that as a kid, because
that
of course I saw that as a child, and I was like, "Whoa!"
It's
And
not just Godzilla too. It's also Anguillus or Anguirus or however you say it.
I was about to get to that. And Gears, of course, has the scene where um, he's triumphantly trying to charge forward and save his buddy Godzilla. Godzilla's being like spat down by the Godzilla Tower. He's being like hit over and over again by the Godzilla Tower's ray, the laser beam, and Anguirus tries to save him, and Gigan has his atomic or not atomic. He has his chainsaw chest like buzzing, and then Gearus like charges forward anyway and tries to save his best friend. Doesn't matter. Gigan still boom hits him in the face, and you have that blood spray right at the camera. So Godzilla versus Gigan is actually, it's notable for its quote unquote gore, because you actually see a lot more kind of blood in this movie than you have seen in any other before. Because I will say the only other movie that could kind of match that would be Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, but it's not as bad in that movie because it's Godzilla. All he does is he has a little bit of blood bleeding out of him from the rockets that got shot into his chest and stuff.
Well, GMK also has like that drill coming out of Godzilla. That was pretty
Right, but for a
Showa, yeah.
If we're just sticking to Showa stuff, then yes, Godzilla versus Gigan is probably the bloodiest out of all the Showa series movies.
I would say the bloodiest out of all the movies.
True.
The bloodiest, but I wouldn't say that it is the only one that has it, and Mechagodzilla is the only ones that have blood. But I'm pretty sure you would say the same as well, correct?
Yeah. Those are definitely the. Yes, like you said, GMK. It's not bloody, but there's the scenes where like the drill comes out of his shoulder from the inside out, and you kind of see guts or whatever. But no,
and then his heart later on.
Graphically and kind of more disturbing wise, it's Gigan and Mechagodzilla.
The one part that really got me in Gigan as a kid, Gigan versus Mechagodzilla, was when Gigan took his claw and he hit Godzilla
in the face over and over and over again.
Yeah, that part.
That's another bloody scene.
Yeah.
But anyway, so E.T., what's your next question?
What's your thoughts on the infamous speech bubbles in the Japanese version?
The speech bubbles. That's right, because in the Americanized, the crazy scratchy record sound with the monsters actually talking. It's I actually kind of think it makes more sense for the Japanese version to have the monsters roaring in their natural like their tone. Like Godzilla has his roar, and then Anguirus has his roar, and then they kind of have just speech bubbles instead, because that means it shows they can communicate with each other and understand each other without having to show. Because with the Americanized one, with that weird record scratching sound with audio played on top of that, which was Anguilla, there's a lot of trouble going on, better check. Okay. I mean, I always thought that was really just, for the monsters to have kind of funny speech bubbles, to like kind of visually show that they are understanding what each other says. I think that's kind of cool. I think that was actually a more efficient way to go about it than what America did with them going, Anguilla, come on. So I think Japan, that's one thing that Japan did better with the Japanese version of Godzilla versus Gigan that we screwed up.
Yeah, it makes a little more sense that way. My next question was, what was your thoughts on when it was released in America originally? It was called Godzilla on Monster Island.
Oh
What do you
God.
think of that title?
All right. Well, you kind of just heard my pleas right there. No, I do not like that title whatsoever because Godzilla on Monster Island. Are you kidding me? Okay, Godzilla. That's like I think. Oh God, somebody did a really good analogy not too long ago.
I
Oh, I
think I
remember what
know.
it is. That's like it was like calling Indiana Jones and the Temple of
Yeah,
Doom, Indiana Jones and Shanghai.
yeah.
It was not. No, it's not the same thing.
I think that was
Godzilla and
Brendan
Monster.
Tenold, right?
Actually, I believe the dude, like, who's the guy on YouTube that actually does the monster mania monster whatever, he does reviews for all the Godzilla movies. Monster Matt, God, what's it called?
Oh, you mean
Monster
Cinema.
Jake?
Massacres,
You mean Jake? You mean Jake?
Cinema
Not
Massacres,
Jake.
Cinema.
Yeah,
James. James.
Yeah,
Cinemassacre? Do you mean
Cinema
Cinemassacre?
Massacres,
James?
Monster Madness, or whatever it's
Yeah.
called.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I think he was the one that did that exact analogy. I'm
Yeah.
copywriting him for doing the same thing.
Nah.
No, I do not like that title whatsoever because it makes no sense. So I mean, I'm not going to really, I'm not going to try to go any further into depth on that. I just there it is. No, it doesn't make sense. I don't like it. No.
What do you think of Ghidorah being in this movie? Do you like that, or do you think it should have been just Gigan in this movie?
No, I actually thought from what I thought that was like a cool tag team battle. The fact that they had Godzilla fight or Godzilla and Anguirus fight two monsters. Um, they Ghidorah is a space alien, of course, and so is Gigan, as far as we know. We still kind of don't know Gigan's origin fully to this day, but the fact that he fought alongside another monster from space, I thought that was pretty cool. And we had two. And what's interesting, all right, this is interesting to think about. Godzilla fought Ghidorah two times in the past, or three times if you want to. Technically, the past would be Ghidra, and then Monster Zero, and then
Yeah.
Destroy All Monsters would be the future. But
Yeah.
whatever. So if you think about the original movie, the 1964 movie, it took Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan to take down Ghidorah. And then in the second movie, it was Godzilla and Rodan to take down Ghidorah. In this movie, um, Ghidorah basically Gigan fought Godzilla and Ghidorah fought Anguirus. So Anguirus being kind of he's not a super strong kaiju, but the fact that he went toe to toe with Ghidorah on his own for the majority of the battle in Godzilla versus Gigan, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the only reason the Ghidorah flew away and like gave up is because Godzilla did that like over the head triple smackdown where he grabbed all three of Ghidorah's heads, threw them over his own head, and smacked them into the ground three times. And Ghidorah was like, "Screw this, I'm out of here." That's pretty cool. So I thought Ghidorah. He was an interesting choice to throw into the mix for this movie, and I don't have a problem with it. I actually think it's cool because I
You
like.
know,
And this is one of the first movies. Actually, this was the first movie where we saw a 2-on-2 versus movie. We had
yeah.
Godzilla and Gearus versus Gigan and Ghidorah. Before
Wasn't
that,
this the only movie we ever had? Well,
yes,
I mean,
yes,
besides Showa.
yes.
I mean,
Yes.
only in Showa is what I'm talking about.
Yes, it is. It's the only 2-on-2. Because no. I'm sorry. I just corrected myself. Godzilla versus Megalon. We had Godzilla,
Oh yeah,
Jaguar,
that's true.
Megalon, and Gigan. So, but it was the first movie where it was 2-on-2. You're right.
Yeah.
Speaking of two,
Well, really quick, Aztec says, how about what did he think the general audience first reactions were when they saw Gigan for the first time? Do you think they thought he was scary, cool, or goofy? Especially the American audience.
What do I think that
Yeah.
people from the past thought?
Yeah.
That's kind of a hard question to answer because I have no idea what the audience from the past thought. You're right that Gigan is a pretty out there design. You got this giant robotic
I like
style
that about him though.
chicken thing. So but at the same time they pulled him off in such a way that he wasn't ridiculous looking. He's a really cool kaiju to this day. But I mean, it's really hard for me to answer that kind of question because I was not around in 1972, so I have no idea what the audience back then might have thought. For me to guess what they thought, it's probably something they've never seen before. So they were either really surprised by the design, or yes, they might have laughed at it because they were like, what is this giant chicken with a chainsaw on his chest? My guess would be that most people thought it was really cool, just like I do, because I think that it's something like I said, it's something we haven't seen before, and most of the time, when anybody sees something they've never seen before and it's unique, they'll actually have greater appreciation for it than usual. So that's my opinion, I guess. But that's like I said, a little bit of a difficult, harder question to ask or to answer because I wasn't around during the day, so I can't guess what people from 1972 thought.
Go ahead, ET.
You were talking about earlier about how this was the first tag team. What was your thoughts on the pretty much follow-up sequel to this movie, Godzilla versus Megalon?
As in, what do you mean? Like what are my thoughts on Godzilla versus Megalon now, or
Like, did you like how they showed Gigan? Do you think he should have been a little
oh,
more in it?
what are you saying? What do I think of Gigan's appearance, Godzilla versus Megalon? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, well, as a fond and as I'm very fond of Godzilla versus Gigan, and I love that monster. Um, I thought they reintroduced him in an interesting way in Godzilla versus Megalon. It was like I said, it was kind of weird because you have these underground just like beings or whatever, and all of a sudden they know like contact space Nebula Hunter and request their help with Gigan. So you have these underground dudes asking for the help of a monster from space. But the Gigan design, I actually love the 1973 version of Gigan. I have figures of both versions, so I actually can differentiate, excuse me, the um, the looks of both of them. Gigan was a monster in Godzilla versus Gigan, or Godzilla versus Megalon. I actually did some size comparisons. Like I looked up detailed pictures and stuff. Gigan is much larger in Godzilla versus Megalon than he was in Godzilla versus Gigan. Like he is he's like a good entire head taller than Godzilla, Megalon, and Jaguar in the film. He's a monster. He's actually really huge, and the fact that he does some pretty good damage, and plus the fact I think that it's unique that we have two unique monsters like that in the same film, because you have these crazy, in a way, I think Megalon is actually a cyborg. Even though they never mention it in the film, I think Megalon might actually be kind of a cyborg also because of his weird drill hands and the way that the construction of his body. So to have two monsters that are that unique with crazy designs in the same film, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, speaking of different versions of Gigan, do you prefer the 2004 Gigan or the 1972 Gigan?
72 all the way. Oh my god, are you kidding me?
I knew that answer. I knew the answer to that question.
72. Oh god. If 2004 didn't even exist, I'd still be fine.
How about 1972? Or well, I don't remember the year for Godzilla versus Megalon, but Godzilla versus Gigan versus Godzilla versus Megalon.
Sorry, what was that?
Which design do you like more, Godzilla versus Megalon or Godzilla versus Gigan for Gigan?
Oh, out of the two, 72 and 73?
Yes.
Yes, of course. I've got to hand it to the very original one, 72. 72 is definitely the better looking design. 73 is, it looks like the budget was not, because they actually had to recreate a brand new suit. They didn't use the old Gigan suit and modify it. They actually built a brand new Gigan suit for Godzilla versus Megalon. They started from nothing to something. And I think the budget was a little bit lower than Godzilla versus Gigan, the first movie. So the 73 Gigan does not look as good as the 72. So the 72 one all the way.
I need to start wrapping this thing up here, ET. But Aztec says, if you were to come up with a quick theory on how Gigan can work in the MonsterVerse, how would it go? Bit of a hard question, so you don't have to answer.
Are you talking about in the legendary, like the MonsterVerse that we have with the Americanized one?
Yeah.
Okay, this is actually one that I've been thinking of, so I'm kind of glad he asked that. All right, so Godzilla 2014, he fought and killed the Mutos. They're gone. They're dead. We've seen that happen.
Well, we've gotten teasers that they might be returning.
How's that?
There's like an image that's been floating around on the Monarch Twitter of the head of one of the Mutos.
Okay,
it might be.
right.
It might be one of the dead.
Actually, that's great. I'm going to interrupt you here and say this is where my fan theory is going to go. Is with that exact image that you're talking about. So Godzilla killed both the Mutos. We know that. And the Mutos, they kind of, they're insectoid-ish. They're very it's kind of hard to say what they are exactly, but yes, you're right. There is at Tokyo Comic-Con that happened a couple of weeks ago, there was a teaser trailer that showed the female Muto's head. So the female Muto's head and what looked like a giant warehouse / scientific discovery center or whatever. But it showed they collected the female Muto's head. My fan theory is, this is my fan theory for why Gigan can exist in the modern universe. Gigan, we all know his origin is that he's a space alien / whatever. So he's an alien from space. But to make him more modernized in the legendary universe, this is my feeling that they're gonna take that female Muto head, and maybe like the remains of the Mutos. They're gonna experiment around with them, and they're gonna combine those with mechanical parts to try to create their own America. Just like we're gonna like Japan did with Mechagodzilla, where they tried to make a hero out of Mechagodzilla. America or whoever scientists, they're going to try to recreate a monster using pieces of the Muto and pieces of mechanics, and they're going to create Gigan. They're going to use the remains of Muto, and they're going to use mechanical parts. And America or whatever scientist, there's going to be a legendary Gigan created here on Earth. He's not going to have a space alien backstory instead. He's going to be created here on Earth. But something is going to go wrong, is what I feel. Like even though we humans created him, something's going to go wrong, and the Muto conscience is going to wake up inside of Gigan. Instead of us being able to control it, the Muto conscience is going to wake up, and Gigan is going to be an uncontrollable force that Godzilla is going to have to stop, because we created Gigan from Muto parts, and he's now an unstoppable force that's actually pretty powerful. Because the plan was that we humans tried to create a monster to stop Godzilla, but in the end, we created a monster that we can't control. I'm sorry, that was a very long and lengthy answer, but that's my fan theory for how Gigan can exist in this new legendary universe.
It's a cool idea. I like it. To add on to that, for the future of Gigan, if this rumored quote-unquote world of Godzilla were to happen, do you think Gigan deserves his own solo movie?
I'm going to say no, because Gigan, even though he's a cool monster and everything, it's not the American way to make a solo movie about something a monster like that. Gigan isn't popular enough or cool enough for America to make a solo Legendary Pictures Gigan movie. I mean, the only reason we did Kong is because, oh my God, King Kong has been around since 1933. He's older than Godzilla. So a solo Gigan movie just does not seem like it would be in the works. Same with unfortunately, same with any of the other Toho films. Even though Toho made the standalone movie Rodan back in 1956, I don't see America making a standalone Rodan movie after this Legendary Pictures Godzilla King of the Monsters movie. Godzilla is a kind of household name across the world. It's only the fact that Godzilla fans know the names Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, and stuff like that. That's the only reason that we know those movies, and that they or conceivably in our mind, there could be a solo Rodan movie or a solo Mothra movie. But for American audiences, that's not the truth. Not many American audiences know that Rodan has his own movie, or that Mothra has her/his own movie. So, in Gigan, especially him being a very, very not known monster, I really don't see him having his own movie.
All right. Yeah, can we move into a little bit of a lightning round with like one word answer questions?
Oh God, it's gonna be hard for me. You guys have been hearing me.
All right. What's your favorite? Sorry.
I said go.
All right. What's your favorite Goofy Godzilla moment?
Godzilla swinging on his tail and Godzilla versus Megalon.
What is your least favorite Godzilla film?
Oh God. Godzilla versus Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, 1991.
What's your favorite Ultraman kaiju?
Subozu.
If you were to put any Gamera kaiju against Godzilla, what kaiju would it be?
Iris.
What's your favorite non-Godzilla kaiju?
Non-Godzilla kaiju.
Yes, non-Godzilla kaiju.
Oh,
Say it again. You kind of like got cut out.
I said, oh God, non-Godzilla kaiju. Hold on.
Yeah. Gamera?
This is hard because I mean, God. So it's the lightning round, so I got to answer fast. I'm gonna go with Gamera 1999.
All right.
Actually, no. I changed my answer. It's what's from Gamera the Brave? What's that? What's the enemy
Zetus.
from Zetus? Oh, I thought Zetus was cool. I like Zetus.
If you were to make a Godzilla film, what kaiju would be in it?
If I were,
Yes.
I would go with Godzilla, of course, as the Godzilla the ally, Gorosaurus, the tag team partner. Gorosaurus, the tag team partner. Oh God, it's so hard.
Really quick, Raiju Kaiju brought up the giant claw. Do you like that kaiju?
Is that the one? Oh God, that giant bird looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, never. I haven't seen the movie, but that thing looks really ridiculous.
Anyways, back to the question we were on.
Okay, so I would say Godzilla and Gorosaurus as the tag team good guys, and return of Titanosaurus as one of the enemies, and so Godzilla, Gorosaurus. So an all monster battle: Godzilla, Gorosaurus, Titanosaurus, and screw it, bring back Megalon. Godzilla and Gorosaurus versus Titanosaurus and Megalon.
What's your favorite non-Godzilla kaiju flick?
War of the Gargantuas.
What's your favorite Godzilla song?
The end song from Godzilla vs. Gigan. The I guess it's called Godzilla March. But yeah, I think it's called Godzilla March. The end song when Godzilla and Anguirus are swimming off into the sunset.
Which do you think is better, Matango or Space Amoeba?
Space Amoeba.
All right, we're out of the lightning round. So, E.T., anything else you would like to ask him?
Oh God, that was so stressful. Oh God.
Just to be a Badinsky, I have a couple lightning round questions.
Oh man, I just finished the lightning round. Oh my. Okay, go ahead, man.
That was my lightning round. This is his lightning round.
Are you a fan of the Godzilla anime trilogy? Yes or no?
No.
If Gamera could fight Godzilla in a Hollywood movie, would you see that?
Yes, as long as good. Yeah. Yes, I would. Even though those are two different companies and we know it would never happen, yes, I would like to see that. Yes.
Out of these two Godzilla ripoffs, which is better, Gorgo or Yongary?
Young Gary.
If they could bring back one non-Toho kaiju for the MonsterVerse, but it could not be Japanese, it would have to be another country or America, what would it be?
Oh man, I'm trying to think of all the non Japanese giant monster movies that have come. I mean, we got all the monsters from Pacific Rim. We got Cloverfield. We got uh
Young
oh,
Gary is one.
right. We got Yongari. Well, technically, we have every single monster from Gamera because those are not Toho. Wow. Oh, this is pretty tough. I'm sorry. I'm like giving y'all like a standstill answer here because I can't think of something right now. Can we come back to that? That's. I'm actually having a hard time answering that one right now.
I have one other question, and then we'd have to come back to it.
Come back to okay. That's okay. That'll give me time to think. I guess maybe.
If Pacific Rim could be in the MonsterVerse, would you like to see that?
Yes. Oh my God! You gave me such a before that one. You give me such the MonsterVerse with the Pacific Rim was so much easier than what monster would you bring back that doesn't exist in the Godzilla universe already? Yes, I would love to see the Pacific Rim universe exist in the same MonsterVerse as Godzilla, which is conceivable because it's legendary.
Well, considering the fact that Zetus is your favorite kaiju that's not from Godzilla, would it be like that? The same thing, kind of?
Well, unfortunately, the problem is, I mean, Zetus got definitely blown away, so he's gone. That's the fact. That's one of the reasons why he couldn't be brought back because I know he's already been killed off. Um, Grr. Ah, man, I don't have an answer for this because it's really really hard. Oh my God, I guess this is like the one question that I'm gonna have to leave blank because you asked me something that I was not prepared for. One being the fact that there's not many giant monster movies outside of the Godzilla verse that I can like say, oh my God, I love that movie. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is the one question I'm gonna have to leave blank because I literally don't have an answer for it. And I feel so bad about saying that, but I really don't have an answer for it.
Samson, what's your favorite mech in a kaiju film has to have mecha/mech in the name?
Oh, I mean, in a kaiju film,
Yeah,
J Jaguar.
it has to have mecha or mech in the name.
Ah. Well, all right. Well, of course, it's gonna be it's gonna be Mechagodzilla 1975, not 74, 75 because 75 is a lot better than 74.
Over Mecha King Ghidorah?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Heisei.
All right. Um, E.T., is there anything else you would like to ask him?
Nope, I'm good.
Well, if in that case, is there anything else you would like to say, Samson?
Well, I've had a really tremendous time talking to you. I guess my wrap up statement, because the whole point of this was for me to talk about Godzilla versus Gigan in the first place. If I want to do like a small little thing about Godzilla versus Gigan, my whole reason that I love that movie is because, again, I've said that I love the suit that was used in the movie, even though it was used in 1978 or 68, excuse me. It was used in 68, and they, used it all the way up until 72. The design of the suit is amazing. The fact that it was Haruo Nakajima's last performance in that suit is great. And it's really sad to actually think about. The reason why Haruo Nakajima quit acting as Godzilla was because special effects director Eiji Tsuburaya, he died in um, he died in he died in 1970. So the last film that he worked on with so Eiji Tsuburaya and Haruo Nakajima, the last film they worked on together was Godzilla's Revenge, and they both had respect for each other so much. And Haruo Nakajima worked on Godzilla versus Hedra even without special effects director Ichi Tsuburaya. But then when Godzilla vs. Gigan came around, Haruo Nakajima, he literally came out and said with a statement that he said, "This is the last movie that I'm going to do. Because without special effects director Ichi Tsuburaya, I don't know if I can continue to do this anymore." So it's really depressing to think that that's the reason why he quit being Godzilla. But at the same time, that showed how much of a strong relationship he had with Eiji Tsuburaya that it made him quit being Godzilla. But either way, he put his final performance into Godzilla vs. Gigan, which is what I've always thought. And he did it. And Haruo Nakajima made the movie amazing. He fought one of his toughest foes he'd ever fought in the entire existence of Godzilla. And I love that about the movie because I love Gigan. I think he's one of my favorite enemies of all time. Or he is my favorite enemy of all time. And the fact that Haruo Nakajima put his all in this movie because it was the last time he was going to portray Godzilla, and the fact that he didn't have his beloved special effects director Eiji Tsuburaya there, he still powered through it. He did it, and to this day, it's still a either beloved or hated movie. To those that treat it as a hated movie, I feel sorry for those because they have a gigantic stick up their ass. But whatever, it's not my fault. So,
All right,
yeah.
Before we end this, and this will be the last word of the recording, if you could describe Godzilla vs. Gigan in one word, the movie as a whole, what would you say in one word to describe that movie?
The word that I could use best would be nostalgic.